Today on this Veterans Day, we have the story of a Connecticut veteran who's in the business of saving lives.
He spent the last 3 decades at the controls of LifeStar. Channel 3's Denise DeCenzo has his amazing story.
And we'll start this side first.
Senior pilot Richard Magner is right at home in the cockpit of the LifeStar helicopter.
Every LifeStar one. So.
Magner flew the very first LifeStar flight from Hartford Hospital nearly 3 decades ago. And at 67, he's still going strong.
Certainly something I enjoy a great deal after all these years.
I saw that firsthand when Magner took me for a flight on LifeStar on a beautiful fall day.
There's an eagle directly overhead. See?
Over the years, Magner has seen his share of heartbreaking calls, but he's learned to focus on the miracles, the lives that are saved.
Quite often as we're en route, I can tell what they are doing for the patient. This patient's getting better.
There's no better feeling for this pilot who was himself once a patient fighting for his life. The year was 1969, and Warrant Officer Magner was in Vietnam. Just 22 years old, he was a pilot, one of the Smiling Tigers of Delta Company 229th 1st Cavalry Division. Magner's machine was the Cobra, a sleek and menacing assault helicopter, and his mission was protecting the Hueys carrying the troops.
Sometimes we had up to 18 ships, Hueys I mean, and they would land and they would load up the troops. And then we would then escort them out of their landing area.
On March 8, 1969, not far from Nui Ba Din, Magner was flying lead, sitting in the front seat, responding to a report of troops under heavy fire when a single .50 caliber round hit his Cobra.
When I initially got hit, I thought I just had this feeling, tumbling sensation and this a maze of red color. But then probably less than a minute passed and my vision cleared. All the instruments looked good and we're still flying. Didn't hurt it structurally at all, but it took my jaw off.
Magner was bleeding to death and struggling to breathe. He was rushed to surgery to save his life. He beat the odds only to face another harrowing ordeal, recovery at Fitzsimmons Army Medical Center near Denver.
What are you crying about? You were 4-1 not to be here at all.
Trying to stay positive, he found comfort recalling a scene in the John Wayne movie, Wings of Eagles.
I can remember sitting out on a porch in San Diego in the sun, and I'm thinking, wow, it looks like I'm having a lot of opportunity to sit on a porch and take in some sun.
That opportunity lasted 5 long years. During his time at Fitzsimmons, Magner underwent more than 20 grueling surgeries, all with the goal of attaching a bone graft to create a lower jaw. After a number of failed attempts, Magner decided it was time to move on.
I'd had enough, so I never got the bone graft.
Rebuilding his life proved to be easier. In 1974, Magner married Donna, a nurse he met in Denver, and returned to flying helicopters, working offshore in the Gulf of Mexico and in Florida. In 1985, he came to Hartford to help launch LifeStar.
Nowadays, they probably wouldn't use zippers.
After all these years, Magner can still fit into his Army flight shirt. His face may be different now, but for this proud veteran, the scars are just a humbling reminder of just how lucky he was.
You know, I might be able to bite into a Big Mac, but oh, that's small potatoes.
A small price to pay for the devastating cost of war.
I don't know why I live, but I feel fortunate that it worked out that way. And I hope I haven't let it go to waste.
Magner also hopes he can be an example of the countless Vietnam veterans who came back from the war to lead productive, fulfilling lives.
The success stories out there with Vietnam veterans is, I think, an untold story.
For the young wounded veterans of today, coming home from Iraq and Afghanistan with Purple Hearts, Magner offers this advice.
There is a future, and as difficult as it may be, and with limited means, we can still make it a worthwhile future.
For all he's been through, Magner has no regrets.
I wouldn't have the great life I have today, you know? wouldn't have met my wife, wouldn't have my children and grandchildren that I have, and a very enjoyable life. So I can't imagine if I'd taken a different route, how much better that life could have been.